This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
The book you wrote, you keep it where the camera is and you pull it out whenever someone asks about it. And you make sure that the cover can be read easily. That's the most important, because now we have books that are in thumbnail form, right on our phone, on our reading device, whether that's...
Welcome to another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. My name is Dr. Barrett Matthews. I want to say thank you for joining me today on the podcast. Now, I have a great show. I have a great guest today. And I know you're probably thinking, Barrett, you always say you have a great guest. Well, I can't help it if my guests are great. That if you got a problem with that, then that's something I think we need to see someone about. But seriously, no, I do have a great guest today, and I'm excited to have her with me today. But for those of you, if it's your first time here on the Media Boss Podcast, one thing I want you to do is make sure you're subscribing and make sure you're sharing it with people. Let everyone know that you're a part of the Media Boss tribe. We'd love to have you guys with us all the time, and make sure you're letting everyone know that you are part of the Media Boss tribe, because we love having you here. Now, what the Media Boss Podcast is a podcast that shows you how you can use media to grow whatever it is you're doing in business, meaning books, meaning ebooks, meaning magazines, meaning podcasts, meaning streaming television, meaning films, social media. All of these things can be incorporated in your business. And here's a little tip for you. You can use them all at one time. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can use them all, and then you can become a media boss. So that's what the show is about. And I'm glad to have you guys here with me today. Now, one thing I like to do to open up every single episode of the Media Boss Podcast is something I call the Media Minute. Now, the Media Minute is where I take a little time to give you either a tip or give you some news about something that's going on in the world of media. And today's Media Minute, when I say the world of media, it's international. And Qatar Media Corporation, that's right, I said Qatar. Qatar Media Corporation, they just launched Qatar TV, an initiative to help bring new media to professionals. Now, what does that mean? That means what they're doing in Qatar is this is like literally this week. They opened up an introductory meeting for those wishing to work in television. So they had a meeting at a Sheraton Grand Hotel, and they're bringing media to people to show just the average person how they can shine in media, so that they can learn different things, whether it be sound or image, their content, television, all these things. And they're doing that to show people how they can grow by using media. And I say good for them and good for anyone else in the world who's doing that, because let me tell you something, media is not going anywhere. So it's best that you embrace it and start working with it instead of fighting it like a lot of people are doing. So guys, it's time for me to bring on the guest that I was telling you all about. Now, I want to tell you, this person, she has a heart of gold. She's done humanitarian work in Europe for 7 years. Can you imagine doing humanitarian work for 7 years? She's written 25, I want to say that again, 25 books. Oh my goodness. She's a certified copy editor, and she can fix fiction and nonfiction. So if you think you got something going on and you don't know, let me tell you, she's the one for it. And she's also a best-selling author. So without any other hesitation on my part, I want to bring to the Media Boss Podcast none other than my friend here, Miss Kristin Spencer. Kristen, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast.
Thank you so much, Barrett, for having me. I know this is going to be a ton of fun, and thank you for all the kind words you said about me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you and your mission, because it's so important.
If I could blush, I would. But but first of all, see, let me tell you guys, some of you are listening to this podcast, some of you are watching. Are those the coolest glasses or what? I mean,
I can't help myself. I'm not like a jewelry person, but I accessorize where I can. And since I actually have a lazy eye, I cannot see very well without my glasses. I decided, I'm going to have fun with these.
There you
And these
go.
frames in particular are from Zenny's Iris Apfel's collection because people ask me every time I wear them. And if you don't know who Iris Apfel is, you are in for a treat. Go research her. She calls herself a geriatric diva. She is amazing, and her story is insane.
So I have to ask you this.
Okay.
25 books. Okay. First of all, when did you start writing books?
I started writing books 9 years ago.
9 years ago. So you've written 25 books in over a 9-year stretch. That's incredible. And you have a new book out, right?
I do have a new book. I have it right here. It's called
There you
Write the
go. There you
Perfect
go.
Read.
That's what I'm talking about. Way to plug it. That's what I'm talking about.
The self-help edition. You have to, when you listen, here's a tip for anyone who's listening. When you have a book you've written, I do not have all 25 in my office because not all of them are published. Not all of them are mine because I'm a ghostwriter as well. But if you have a book you wrote, you keep it where the camera is and you pull it out whenever someone asks about it. And you make sure that the cover can be read easily. That's the most important because now we have books that are in thumbnail form, right on our phone, on our reading device, whether that's a Nook or a Kindle. Like, you have to be able to read it. You have to have it near you. That you wrote that book, be proud about it.
Man, that's a tweetable. I mean, guys, you better take note of what she just said there. I mean, oh, God, goodness. There's so many people who put so much blood, sweat, and tears into a project and they don't want to show anyone. So I'm glad that you did that. And you see how happy I was that she had it ready, because that's what it's about, man. Now, I gotta say, 25 books, though. Wow. I want to know, did you write the books because you felt you had something that you were compelled to share? Did you feel that it was a need from people, or was it a challenge for you? It's like, how did it come in 25? That's a lot.
So I think all of the above, but honestly, part of writing that many books was learning how to write books.
Ooh.
Because I have a degree in comparative world literature. I have so many friends who have masters in creative writing. I know people are going to throw shade at me for saying this, but my friends, when they graduated with their MAs, did not know like the basic plot structure that their advisor should have taught them. And so I actually developed this crazy thing. If anyone wants to write fiction, I have a $5 writing school. I tell you exactly how to write your book. I give you all of the worksheets. Eventually, that is going to be free because that is my heart, to serve people who want to learn to write fiction. So yeah, if you go to, oh man, I can't even remember the funnel. It's so long ago. I'll figure it out and let Barrett know. But it's like, if you look it up, it's write fewer words, tell better stories. That's what you want to look up. And it's my book.
Okay.
That will teach you everything you need to know about how to write a fiction book that people love.
Wow. Now, had you always considered yourself someone that wanted to get into books? So here's the thing, like for me, for instance, I've written 3 books, and actually I've been a part of some other books, but I was never an avid reader. So I never really saw myself writing a book. I was always good at writing in school. So if I got an essay, it was going to be an A, but I never thought about writing a book, and I wasn't a big reader. So did you always think of this?
No, I actually thought, well, I'll tell you an embarrassing story, because that's what I do. I tell stories. I'm the storytelling lady. Like, if you want to find me on Reddit, storytelling lady, 100%. But I got into school and I was like, I'm going to be an art major. And I got into this crazy art program at Cal State Long Beach, which, if you know anything about that school, their art program is extremely impacted. And I got through my first year and I realized I'm not going to be able to take any of the classes I need until my junior or senior year, which means I'm going to have to pay for a whole extra year of college, which I did not want to do because my parents and I were like splitting things, and I was not okay like with the whole extra year. And also, honestly, I was like getting a D on all of my drawings. I could create an amazing composition, which serves me now as I do like, book design and all that, book cover design. But I was like, okay, I need to be practical. So I'm going to switch to business economics as a major. And it turns out business economics involves a lot of complicated math. And I just could not do it. I was like trying so hard. Like, I remember one time my professor came up and it was the final, and he realized that I had flipped everything. Like, I was doing everything with the wrong formula. I knew the formulas, but I switched them. And he's like, I just have to tell you, you need to look at the formulas closer. He couldn't say anything else. Like, he
Right.
was like, we're in this like crazy hall with like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've switched it. But after that, I was like, I actually love storytelling. I was obsessed with AP English my senior year in high school. And I have always been obsessed with reading. To answer your question,
Mhm.
I used to stalk my parents and follow them around with a stack of books before I could read.
Wow.
So that they would read to me. And I started reading when I was 4.
Cool. That's
So
cool.
that,
I have an
like,
embarrassing story too.
oh yes, let's tell.
Since
Yes.
you mentioned the major change thing, I started out as an architecture major, and I blame Mike Brady on the Brady Bunch for making me want to be an architect. But no, I started out as an architecture major, and I was in school, and I was also trying out for the football team.
Okay.
And I had players, coaches, and teachers telling me, you have to pick one. And I'm sitting there thinking, I've watched college athletes before. They can play sports and get their grades too. I've seen that they recognize these guys on TV all the time.
Right.
But I kept hearing this, and I said, obviously someone knows something I don't. So I said, okay, I'm not going pro. So I'll just go ahead with architecture. I should have stayed with football.
Oh. Retrospect is 2020, right?
Yeah, because architecture kicked my butt royally. I mean, it was, and I knew it was time to change my major. This is the embarrassing part. When I found myself waking up during a physics exam.
Oh no. Oh no. That is a little embarrassing, but I think it just shows that's not where you were meant to be.
That's
right?
not right. and I at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't know what to change to. And I talked to my sister, and she said, well, you've always been interested in radio and television and stuff like that, media. And I said, yeah, but isn't everybody? I honestly didn't see it as a major. I honestly did not. But when I changed my major to mass media, my grades shot up. And it was funny, I'd hear media majors commenting, oh God, this is hard. I said, please try architecture. Like, this is nothing.
Yeah, right? Like, when you find that thing, well, and now you're a doctor, right?
Yeah, but not a medical doctor. No, yeah.
No, but I mean, like, you have the highest degree you can get because you found your thing.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. And you found yours, and you're helping a lot of people. Now, I like what you're saying, that you can fix anyone's if they got fiction or nonfiction. When you say fix, what do you mean when you say that?
So I'm like a formula person. I have to be like really transparent about this. Like, if I figure out something that works, I go back, I tear it apart into small pieces, and then I make it so that I can replicate it and get the same results every time. And that's what I've done with storytelling. But I honestly couldn't make any money that way. Like, if I'm being transparent with you, I hustled. Like, I worked like crazy. I went back to school and became a certified copy editor. And, I coupled that with my degree in literature, and I made this entire curriculum that actually works for the people who could afford me and worked with me. Their books came out great. Their reviews were amazing. But when people are starting out in the world of fiction, they're side hustling and they don't have money to pay an editor. They don't have money to pay a developmental editor, which is what I started out as. So I'm the person who's like, hey, this character doesn't sound like themselves on page 4. And, maybe we should rethink this ending because you didn't set it up right, or we can go back and set. So I have that understanding. And at some point when I was super broke and needed money for food because COVID just wiped out my entire savings account with my husband.
So this wasn't long ago.
No, it wasn't. Like, this transition has just like changed everything in my life, honestly. Wow. But we owned a student rental. Like we used the inheritance money that my husband got when his father passed away, and we bought a student rental and we fixed it up. And then COVID happened and we had 18 months of vacancy. And so it just destroyed our finances completely. Like all the savings was sucked up, and then it started being, we're paying the mortgage on the credit card and we're paying the electricity on the credit card. And it was so out of control that I'm like, I don't know how we're going to keep our heat on this winter.
Yeah.
And I have 3 kids. And I was like, I'm just going to do whatever it takes using the skills I have to get money. And that's when I realized I can take my storytelling formulas and apply them to nonfiction to help business owners connect with their ideal clients. And I did it over and over and over again. And the results were always the same. And then I met my mentor who's like, let me teach you all about sales psychology. And I combined storytelling and sales psychology. And everyone told me, you can't do that. And they're like, oh, copy editing is very different than copywriting. You cannot combine those things. And I was like, I am sure they're wrong. I am certain they are wrong. And I met my mentor and she's all, you're right. You can connect these two and you're going to be unstoppable when you figure out how to make these two things fit together. And she helped me when I was like, I can't send a $7,000 contract. She's all, yes, you can. That's how talented you are. Do it right now before you lose your nerve. And she walked me through realizing my own worth and getting those results for my clients and being able to keep the heat going in my house and buying groceries and supporting my husband while he went back to school to become a truck driver, which is what he's doing now.
Good for him. Wow. That's I hope that you have put that your story in a book.
So that's going to be the next one.
Oh, that's 26. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm also going to write one called Wear Bigger Glasses, which is all about being yourself to attract your ideal audience, your most authentic self, your most vulnerable self. But yeah, so that's going to be written. I have 2 books that I've written that are being edited right now and critiqued.
Nice.
I can't help myself. Like, I just can't stop.
I don't blame you. Now, if you can't, tell us a little bit about Write the Perfect Read.
So in Write the Perfect Read, let me ask you, Bear, I know you've had an expensive lesson because we've talked, right? Where you hire the wrong person and they take your money and you don't see that money back. You don't get it back. Like, it's gone. And I kept joining these different programs for book writing, back when I was still trying to hustle. I was like, I just need to do one more program. I just need to do this.
Yeah.
And I realized these results are not repeatable. They're selling me a dream. And I was like, I need to make something for business owners so that they can take these methods that I know work. The catch is you actually have to do them, right? Which with your clients, if they don't listen to you, they're not going to get results.
They're not.
So in Write the Perfect Read, I break down, well, not just me, I have a co-author who's a teacher, and her teacher brain made the book so much better.
Okay.
And so it teaches you how to tell the story you need to tell to connect with your audience, which stories you shouldn't tell, how to get from having an idea to creating that story. And there's worksheets, like it's a ton of value. I just wanted someone who was struggling like I was to be able to pay $7. That's how much it costs online. And you get a bunch of added stuff and you get the audiobook. I wanted them to have that resource because I know what it's like not to have any reviews, not to have any business connections, or to know who my audience even is. And I'm obviously not passionate about it at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I was going to comment on it. I was hoping the audience could feel your passion, because I can tell it's a labor of love for you. And that really means a lot. So guys, guess what? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in a couple minutes, because we're going to talk to Kristen about her podcast in just a couple of minutes. So stay right here on the Media Boss Podcast. are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right, by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create, all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right, we're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right, we're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. I told you, I don't lie, guys. I don't lie. My guests are great. And today we're still here with my guest, Kristin Spencer. And Kristen, I want to continue our discussion and talk to you about your podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
Okay, so I have a new podcast coming out. I actually am a podcaster. I have podcasted, I think, over 200 episodes as a fiction coach. But then I realized I wasn't going to do that anymore. And people are still enjoying that content for free. They're still learning from that podcast. It lives on. But I was like, I need to help business owners. So I have created a new podcast called Your Business Story. And you can find it when it comes out in a few weeks by going to ybspodcast.com. But it's something that when I started telling people what I was going to do, they panicked for me because I was like, I want to have people on. I'm going to ask them questions about their business and I'm going to give them a unique selling proposition. I write live for them. And all of my friends were like, Kristen, are you sure you want to do that? What if something goes wrong? And I'm like, what if life goes wrong, right? Like, but if someone comes on my podcast and I walk them through understanding who they're helping and what they're doing, isn't that so much more valuable to my audience than if I, just sit in my isolation and be like, this is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. And people who come on my show get that value from me. And normally I charge $400 for it.
Yeah. And I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant because and what I'm saying to everyone, look, she knows where her skills are. She knows what her worth is. She also knows that as much as she's using books to reach people, she has another way of reaching people to write books. So
that's right.
The podcast is another form of media. And that's why I want to convey to everyone paying attention to this podcast that there are so many forms of media where you can reach your audience. See, the thing is what Kristen's done, she's found paying clients by doing a podcast. It doesn't have to all be written. She can find the people to do the written work through the podcast. Understand that the media is there for you, but there are paying clients out there who are looking in their arena, and you're sitting there in your arena just being all comfortable. No, you got to get uncomfortable and move outside that zone. Find those people. So, Kristen, I applaud you.
Thank you. I mean, we have to be brave, right? If we're not brave, we're never going to move out of our comfort zone. And I applaud what you're teaching people because I am all over every media. I believe in a multi-pronged attack. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. Yep. I write books. I have my own website with articles on it. I have a podcast. Yeah. I make sure that my voice is where people who need to hear it can find it.
That's it. Because and I tell people all the time, we've been taught the wrong things. We've been taught to go find those people. No, make yourself findable for them.
Yes,
they're looking, so make yourself findable for them. And we've been taught the wrong thing. We've also been taught stick with one thing. And
why?
Yeah, why? Exactly.
Why? Like I do have a social media manager. I'm very transparent about that, but I create all my original content and she repurposes it, and she does an amazing job. She saves me so many hours. She's already working on how to clip up my podcast and put it across everything when it comes out. But I get leads from all over. I don't just get leads from LinkedIn. I don't just get leads from my website. I had a lead from TikTok the other day that was worth $1,300. Like, is it worth it for me to sit and record a 30-second video so that I can get $1,300? Yes, please.
So. I think so. And see, that's the point I just want to make. I mean, I applaud you for being a media boss. And guys, I know what you guys are thinking. Yeah, Kristen and I are going to do something together because we have to.
I agree, because it's just so fun to hang out and we understand each other.
We do. And we did from the jump. This isn't our first time talking, guys, as you can probably guess. But we did from the first time. We hit it off right away. So we're going to do something. We just got to figure out what it is we're going to do. But we're going to do something together to make sure you guys better tune in. You hear me? You better tune in and pay attention.
You better listen to Barrett. He knows what he's talking about.
Right. So, and then listen to Kristen. She knows what she's talking about. So, Kristen, what do you have going on? What is it that you're working on? I want everyone to know what you got going on.
So I have this crazy offer that I'm only offering so many of these packages at this price because it is crazy. And one of my other mentors was like, Kristen, no. And I was like, and she's like, no, but I'm still doing it. She gave me permission to do it for up to 7 people. I have this new program called Your Business Story Vault, where you and I hop on a call for 30 minutes and I spend another 30 minutes writing. I wait for an hour, I edit your stories, and I send them directly to you, all for $297. And the great thing is, these are the stories you need to connect with your clients. I have your business origin story, your struggle to get going, which people are like, I don't want to talk about my struggles. People need to know you've been where they are or they will not trust you.
That's true.
And then I walk you through how to create a client win, like a client that you got to win for. I turn into story form so you can tell it to another client who's nervous that you won't get them results. And I do all that. Normally I would charge $1,500 for it because like Barrett said, I know my worth. I know my level of training. And so I have this program for $297 for the next 7 people who sign up. I will write your story for you. All you have to do is memorize it. And guess what? You can do what Barrett says with it and blast it across every platform you want, because that's how universal it is.
Tell me again, guys, that I don't bring you great guests. Wow. I'm counting on you guys to definitely take advantage of that offer, because like she said, you ain't going to see it. You ain't going to see it anywhere else. I promise you. I know storytellers. None of them are offering that. None of them. So I'm telling you right now, get on that. So Kristen, I want to thank you for joining me on the Media Boss podcast. I mean, it's a pleasure talking. I love talking to you. You know that. So
it's mutual for sure. Oh, I should probably mention, if you want that deal, you should go to literarysymmetry.com/vault, VAULT. I almost forgot, but I can't forget because I'm with the Media Boss. literarysymmetry.com/vault, VAULT.
Okay, so we're going to make sure it's up on the screen for everybody as well.
Thank you.
Now, also, guys, please make sure you support her podcast. What's the name of your upcoming podcast?
Your Business Story. To get updates, you can go to ybspodcast.com.
All right. So, Kristen, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate having you on the Media Boss podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you so much.
No problem. So, guys, I have something I want to give to you as well. And that is this. I have a free offer for everyone here. You can go to www.5waystoPayingClients.com, 5waystoPayingClients.com, What I'm going to do is show you how you can get more clients and show you what clients you've been missing out on. It's a free training for you, complimentary gift from me to you. So make sure you take advantage of that. So what I'm going to do right now is take a quick break here on the Media Boss podcast, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes to do our Media Boss out. So just stay tuned. We'll be right back. Why should you contact Media Boss Club right now? Well, because you can get a podcast done for you. You can learn all the aspects that go into putting together a great podcast and have someone else do it for you. That's right. We will build your podcast around your content and make it so you can concentrate on the money-making activities of your business. Contact MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com today, and let us get your podcast started right now. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right, we do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com, and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. Welcome back to the Media Boss podcast. Man, was that great? I love talking to Kristen. She's phenomenal, guys. Make sure you take advantage of the offer that she gave to you guys, and make sure you take advantage of what I have for you as well. Check us out on Pantheon, guys. Check us out, the Media Boss podcast. I'm sorry, Pantheon. Patreon, I'm sorry. Patreon, that's another topic there I want to talk to you guys about as well later. But Patreon, check us out on Patreon, the Media Boss podcast. Also, 5waystoPayingClients.com, 5waystoPayingClients.com. That's my complimentary gift to you. One thing I want to tell you guys, I am doing the Make Money from Media Challenge coming up. That's right, the Make Money from Media Challenge. I want you guys to come. It's 5 days where I'm going to be showing you how to make money with all of this media I'm talking about, with your books, with your podcast, with your streaming television, with your film, and with your social media. I'm going to show you how you guys can make money with all of that. And some of you right now are saying, Barrett, I like that idea. I'd like to learn more about getting a podcast for myself. So what I want you to do is text the word podcast. Text the word podcast to 929-244-4323. That's 929-244-4323. And last but not least, guys, what I want you to do is make sure that you share the Media Boss podcast with your friends, your colleagues, your family, whomever, and make sure you subscribe as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of the Media Boss podcast. Now, as we say before we end every single show, y'all know what's coming. Boss out. See you guys next time.